Welcome, collectors. We're at hour number 7 of Hobbypalooza 2024. I am John, 3D80s Kid, here to get things started. This is going to be Hobby News Daily this hour, which, if you have not checked it out at hobbynewsdaily.com, is a very informative website on all things around the hobby with numerous contributors to that site with plenty of great articles to check out. So stick around. Let's hear these guys do their thing.
The official charity of Hobbypalooza 2024 is Signatures for Soldiers. Since 2014, it has been their mission to help serve those who served our nation when it called on them and who now need our help. They work in cooperation with other charitable organizations to assist veterans with disabilities, homeless veterans, and existing members of the armed forces and their families who need extra support. Their efforts have been documented in Forbes and Beckett magazines. They will be operating a booth at the National, which is their biggest fundraising event of the year, as it includes a charity auction with the support of Heritage Auction House. For more information, visit signaturesforsoldiers.com. To donate to Signatures for Soldiers for our Hobbypalooza event, please use PayPal Goods and Services to send your money. Last year, Mike's PayPal account was frozen by too many people using friends and family. I will happily donate the PayPal fee myself to make your donation whole. Send it to jekoffma@yahoo.com. That was JECOFFMA@yahoo.com. For every $10 donated, you will have an entry to one of the pieces of artwork created by Scott of Reindeer Studios or Eric Forleaf that they will be making live on their Hobbypalooza show. Additionally, at Fort collectors have 50 exclusive Quad Auto channel cards available to the first 50 people who donate and request one. In the notes section with your PayPal payment, at a minimum, please include your YouTube handle. If you want to get one of the autographed channel cards, also include your mailing address. Every dollar collected will be presented by check to Signatures for Soldiers at the National in Cleveland. Thank you for supporting this worthy cause.
Well, hello.
Hello there.
Back to another edition of Hobby News Daily. I'm Danny, and that's Adam. What's going on, buddy?
Just living the dream, content creation, doing some work with the Cape Cod Baseball League this summer. So today I don't have to be there because they have an away game. I was there last night. I'll be there tomorrow. A lot of those players end up making it to the majors, and a lot of the players end up being pretty high draft picks that we all prospect within sports cards, which is also pretty cool.
Well, I wanted to start with you on here for a number of reasons. One, most people probably have not seen your face because they hear your voice every morning. You are the voice of the Morning Minute for Hobby News Daily. And we've been going now for over a year. How many episodes are we at roughly?
300 and actually probably almost 400, because if it was April when we started in 2023, and in that year, we did between 5 to 6 episodes a week. We started adding that Saturday episode, the recap, on the podcast and on YouTube. And then you been doing some of the interviews. So I would say it's got to be, well, actually, then it must be between 5 to 7 now. So it's probably closer to 450 than it would be to 350. But I mean, yeah, it's almost every day, which is great.
How do you figure out what you're going to talk about?
Well, sometimes I make stuff up. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I use Twitter pretty frequently to find a lot of the news sources. Sometimes it could be like a viral tweet from the day talking about something within the hobby. Sometimes it's big news that came out from Topps and Fanatics or Panini or Upper Deck. So it's kind of any number of topics that kind of come across my path as I'm creating the episodes.
You're also our creative director and all things forward facing. So I want to give you a shout out for the website and how it looks and all of that good stuff. So that's why I wanted to have you on here first, just for all the work you do, and a thank you to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the website, me and you meet on a daily basis, or sorry, not daily, weekly basis. And, we're making changes, updates to the website. I think we're on like the 4th or 5th different version of how the website looks overall. So, I I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. So, thank you obviously for giving me the opportunity to speak on the podcast 5 days a week. And then also, do some cool stuff that we've been doing on the website for sure.
Absolutely. Ruben, yes, I really was at a card show, but it's been back and forth. To Blix Cards, Adam putting in the work always.
Yep.
Big shout out. That's 5 days a week. He's doing a live podcast every morning. So if you don't subscribe to that already, check it out.
411 episodes, by the way. That's
411. There's the number. All right. So we're 411 episodes in, and the vast majority of those are Adam's. So shout out to Heroes for Sale. And
also want to give a shout out to Mike Jokum, who was one of the original hosts of the podcast. I always try and do that because, Mike's such an awesome guy, super nice. He moved on to other ventures, and I got the opportunity to do, 5 days a week. And, sometimes the episodes, they can drag on a little bit if there's not really something super, crazy that's going on. But at the same time, it's like, I guess I like hearing myself talk. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why I like doing it so much.
Well, I've been accused of similar things. If we can bring in everybody else, I want to bring in part of the team and all the team if they're here. Fantastic. Why don't we just go around? Hey, Bobby, go around and have everybody kind of introduce themselves and what they do in the content world and Hobby News Daily, and whether you're a writer or partner. Blix, yes, I've been in the hobby for a while. I was on the radio and written for papers and stuff. So, I don't look familiar. I look ugly, but face for radio. All right, so let me start. We'll go around this way. We've covered Adam, so why don't we go down to Bobby in the bottom left for the steel?
Hey, well, you can hear me well?
Yep.
Perfect. I'm Bobby Brill. I'm a hobby historian, mostly hockey, but a lot of non-sports. I live in Canada, Toronto. My writing is mostly new information on old sets, food issue, merchandise, and what have you. So that's basically what I do, and I write about it at Hobby News Daily.
Simon, talk about your channel because you do some fantastic stuff.
Thanks for that, Danny. So my channel is Simon466 Cards. I put out videos twice a week on Wednesday and Sunday. Much like Bobby, I also am in Toronto. My videos focus on data and data analysis, business, economics, like those three things or some combination thereof of things in the hobby. So that's the topic of the channel, and try to make it as unique content as I can come up with. But the ideas kind of sometimes they're good, sometimes it takes a while for me to brainstorm some ideas. So,
Mr. Newman, who are you?
I'm still enamored with Adam Palmer's mustache. I don't know how you follow that up, but I'm going to try. But shout out to Adam. I know you gave him a shout out. That guy might be the hardest working guy in the hobby. He's right in that mix. He can rock whatever mustache he wants to at this point. I'll try to make it short and sweet. Sports Card Nation podcast, Hobby Quick Hits, Card Mentions, Hobby Hotline, all right for Hobby News Daily, Sports Collectors Digest. I probably missed something, but we only have 50 minutes, so that's good enough.
And Uncle Rich Klein.
Hi, this is Uncle Rich Klein. Danny asked me to write, so I string together some sentences. Right now, I'm having fun just with random stuff about players from the 50s and 60s and their interesting card stories. Yes, I was posting. I was working at Beckett when I was posting on the boards, and I would try, never to say anything too controversial. That was kind of hard, but yeah, that's me. And so I actually have my notes for the next article, which is kind of fun. And we'll go from there. They're just stream of consciousness. I come up with something, and I hope that it makes some sense. And I try to have a start, beginning, and end. And, and we go from there. And Adam, congratulations. Last time we were congratulating you on getting past like 300. Now you've swarmed past 400.
Yep. Yeah, exciting stuff.
Well,
Hey, whoever's running Rich's teleprompter, you can speed that up a little bit. He can keep up with it. Don't underestimate him.
That's okay. It's I try to talk nice and slowly because I'm from New York and I can go this fast too, and that doesn't work quite as well as enunciating it. Oh, I'll go real fast. Yeah. Okay.
Well, some of our Card Mensch fans are spilling into Hobby News Daily. What's up, Ruben? He
Half
says
of
John
that's
was an
true.
original
I'll
member
let
of
you guess which half is true.
Yeah, John was an original member of the Beastie Boys and founding member of the Brooklyn chapter of Chippendale Dancers. You might not have known that about John Newman.
I got kicked out of my own group. I don't know how that happened. But
John, John, are there any living? I think there's only like one living member of the Beastie Boys left.
no, there's two. There's two.
You say he knows the history of his band. I'm so proud of him. And is he still fighting? Are you still fighting for your right to party, or are you too old to
No,
party?
I earned that. It took me 51 years, but I think I earned. Now I just don't want to party. I just want to take a nap.
Leave me alone.
Right? I just want to fight for my right to nap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, so I want to talk about what you guys have done and what you have coming up, because Hobby News Daily is really a collection of about 25 to 30 different people that either write or are content partners and put out just great stuff about the hobby. And when we say about the hobby, it's really a broad umbrella. We cover everything from comic books to auctions to cards to vintage, all sports, from an analytical standpoint, from a historical standpoint. And we've got a good representation of that today. A good group of a good variety. So I guess let me start with Simon. Your last couple videos, what have they covered?
The last couple of videos have covered some stuff about the National. I'll leave it at that. You can take a look at it and some of their finances. I have one coming up tomorrow about Golden auctions changing the way the buyer's premium works and not really talking a lot about it. And so there's some hidden fees there. And then in a week after that, I have a video coming out about, well, I think they should make a Saturday Night Live card set and how that would jumpstart pop culture sets, because you got so much history of SNL, right? You got all these stars, music, entertainment, athletes, 40, 50 years. And I think there'd be a fun set that could really jumpstart the hobby from a pop culture perspective, which is what Fanatics want to do. And so you just got to get Lorne Michaels on board. You can do this, right? So that's the idea for a video coming out about that on June the 30th.
Awesome. What's up, Courtney?
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. We're just going around doing introductions. Perfect timing.
Oh, wonderful. I like to have good timing.
Courtney, tell everybody who you are and what you do in the content world.
Hi, my name is Courtney. I am with Reckless Cards. I write for Hobby News Daily. We have a few podcasts that I help either host or produce. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus. If you do follow us, and you know that my husband and I have started our own not hobby related company that's kind of been very consuming. But just because I've had enough time to make content lately doesn't mean that we are not consistently buying and selling. Jeremy was just at the Detroit Spectacular, which was awesome. So we've just been, continuing our hobby journey as we always have.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today, and we're glad you're on the team. All right, Bobby.
Yep.
You've written some interesting stuff. What are your favorite pieces you've written, and what do you think people should really look at if they want to look at one article to sum you up?
Boy, that's a good question. Every article, after you write every article, you think it's the best one you've kind of done. Unfortunately, I would have to say, well, I guess I'll introduce myself a little bit better. I was a lifelong collector, and in the 90s, I turned into more of a historian. I started getting deeper into everything. Then I wrote 3 price guides for hockey, vintage hockey. One in 2003, 2006, and 2015. And just last year, we released an app. It's called Needum, and EDUUM. And that is a repository of all hockey cards, collectibles, merchandise, food issue from 1910 to 1990. I stopped at 90 because it went a little crazy there. And I don't think I have enough life and left in me to finish the 90s. So my favorite article, I guess, was the last. No, it wasn't the last one. I really liked the new information that I'm providing. I think one of my favorite articles was the Parkhurst story of the history of Parkhurst and George Kennedy and the things he did and all the cards he issued and the short lifespan he had and how Topps stole away a lot of the companies, which is kind of hey Fanatics stuff like that. So that was probably my favorite article to write. I really love the history part of the companies of hockey, going back to the 20s, right through O-Pee-Chee, all the other different companies. So that's basically what I do. I don't really do any content online. I am on a show called Because I'm Carlos every Friday night, and that's to that extent nothing more. But I do have things coming.
Okay, how does Carlos go for 4 hours every week? He sets records that I think some of the people on this staff would be.
He can talk though. Most of the time, we're just sitting there responding or chiming in. So he can go.
Let me go to Rich, because you as you always say, you jot down a couple lines and turn it in, which is not quite accurate. They're fun to read. Talk about what articles you like that you've done recently.
Well, I'm going to do two things. First, I want to give a shout out. I saw in the comments one of our partners for Hobby News Daily, Sports Cards Live, the great Jeremy Lee, posted.
Oh, Miss Jeremy? Hey, Jeremy. Yeah.
So I wanted to shout out to Jeremy Lee with his wonderful Saturday night shows. They're I listen to those when I know somebody who's on, and it's good. And he had one that Dr. Beckett had me listen to about the tale of the stolen cards, which was absolutely fascinating. And when Dr. Beckett tells me to listen to something, I listen to it. Actually, I have two favorites. One, I did almost a 2-part series on. I walk at Willow Bend Mall, 4 or 5 times a week, and they are transitioning to the type of mall that I work in now, an outdoor mall. There might be some mall left, they may have one floor left, but it's transitioning from the old mall you would see, in the 80s to the outdoor, walk to the store, park your car. They're transitioning. And I wrote basically a 2-part series about how they're doing it. And I know several of the people in marketing. They've had a couple of events that they've told me about, and that's how I got the idea. And they actually are using my article to talk to people about it. Explaining the common sense as to somebody who gets it, that's not trying to market for them, but somebody who understands it, because my office here for CompC in Dallas, or actually the city of Allen, is in the type of place they're trying to transition to. So I understand that better than a lot of people. That it's not, and I do that to explain this is not going to be what you think it's going to be. And I got the most reads on, and I had fun doing it, was the Pancho Herrera article.
Yes.
That was Pancho Herrera, to me, had the most fascinating card history for a guy that only lasted like 2.5 years in the major leagues and then a little while. But I mean, it's the goofiest thing. He has a regular card with a variation. Then he has 2 cards that have the rookie card logo. And then his last Topps card is an all-star card in 61, which is a very tough card, but he doesn't have a regular 61 card. He's got 62 post as like a coda, but no 62 Topps. But Topps knew he was in 61. They put him in a couple of their other insert sets. It's like the goofiest thing when it comes to Pancho Herrera. And I know Saber Baseball Cards picked that up and said, this is Jason, who writes for us, picked that up and said this was fun. And so my next article will be something not just based on one player, but something similar. I've jotted down a couple players that have interesting card histories. For some reason, guys get interesting card histories in those areas.
People love reading about that stuff, Rich. They really do. We got a great response on the Pancho Herrera. Yeah. Courtney, I'll let you unmute yourself.
Thanks. I have a million children running around and dogs, and I'm like, they're gonna be loud.
I'm in a hotel room with bad Wi-Fi and a kitchenette behind me. So article-wise, you've done some different stuff. What have you liked? What's been fun?
I get inspired weirdly. Like I will be doing something and it'll just spark like, hey, I should look more into this, or some random thing happens with my family. Like I think my favorite article that I wrote was the one about my uncle's cards, because my whole family was sitting around the table on Christmas looking at all these old cards, and I was like, that anticipation you feel when you think, oh, these were my uncle's cards. He's, in his 70s. The box was like labeled with his dad's name, who, would have been like 100 by now. And I'm thinking, we're going to find something. And that like whole anticipation. Then, you don't really find anything, but the whole experience was just so joyful, because my uncle was like pulling out the cards, talking about like when he got this card and who gave him this one and how this was his favorite player. And it was like my son, who has like this weird recall for every person's stats. He was like really excited because he pulled some out of like players he had never even heard of before. So it was overwhelmingly like such a fun experience. And I think that it resonated with a lot of people, because I got a lot of like people messaging me about that and how much fun it is with their families. And like, that's like really the point of collecting, is like the memories that you get from, going through these things with some of your older relatives who are into it. So it was fun.
Awesome. John Newman.
Well,
when you're not writing for somebody else or doing all your other shows, and you can throw me an article once a month, which has been your favorite?
Well, like Bobby says, right? When you're done writing it, you think everyone is, and then when you submit it, you realize it isn't. And it's too late, and you can't I guess you could unsend it, but I don't really, they're all, I guess they're like your kids. It's hard to pick favorites. I mean, I've been doing this since 1979. I'm old, so I like to share a lot of experiences. I try to fall on the positive side of things more often than the negative. I'm not going to say I've never written a negative piece, because that's not, that would be disingenuous. But I do try to point out, like, this is a hobby, right? We should be having fun. If you're not having fun in one way, there are other angles, there are other ways you can pivot and have fun. And if you've tried that and you're still not having fun, then maybe, I don't want people to leave the hobby, but if it's really that antagonistic to you, you really have to take a step back and assess, how active you want to be or don't want to be. But so I just try to be, informative. And I've wore just so many different hats in 45 years now. It's crazy, and like it's scary to think like most of my hobby I've already enjoyed. Like I'm on the back nine. I'm not even on the back nine. I'm probably on the back three here coming to the clubhouse. So I just try to be informative, and people will ask questions of me, and I try to help them out as best as possible.
I definitely want to take a minute. The reason we're here today is truly to help raise money for Signatures for Soldiers. At the bottom of the screen, scrolling across, is the information if you want to make a donation via PayPal, goods and services. John's being nice enough, not John Newman, John from Four Collectors, to actually cover the goods and services percentage. So he's paying that himself out of his pocket. So all the donations and everything, will go to Signatures for Soldiers, and that's why we're here today. So definitely want to give a shout out and make sure we can break the record and get those donations in while you're watching. That's why we're all here today. And
one other thing,
we're now over $3,000. Congratulations!
Wow.
Good job.
One other thing, shameless plug here for you, Danny, with Hobby News Daily. Go to Hobby News Daily, go to the writer page and look at the writers here. There's a lot of diversity on this staff. And it's sad that we have to talk about diversity, that it can be an issue in other places and niches, but it's not with this writing staff. And I'm proud to be on it with that diversity. And I think it's important, kudos to the writers. And kudos to you for opening those doors as well.
Well, thank you, but all I did was find talented people, and whoever showed up, showed up. So, I'm still, we accepted Adam's mustache, so we're going for full.
The mustache is cool. Let's be honest, everyone. Come on.
That's so 80s of you. That is so good. I mean, I like it.
I thought Paul Skeens was on this. I thought he was making like a guest.
You do look like Paul Skeens.
Hey, wait a second. Paul Skeens has a pretty good girlfriend, so let's
see who that is. I don't know who that is, but we'll take a look.
I think your life will never be the same again, Adam. I will promise you.
Oh, the pitcher. Well, of course I know who that is. What am I saying?
Yeah,
you know who his girlfriend is then.
Livy Dunn. Yep. No,
yeah,
I know.
I was gonna say your life will never be. Yeah.
And I'm so out of pop culture, I only know who Paul Skeens is. So
I would Google Livy if I were you. I think
what can I tell you?
There's nothing X-rated or just maybe PG-13.
Rich, I'm happily married 20 years. I'm good with Paul Skeens.
You can still look.
I actually want to I want to piggyback on what John said too about just the amount of different viewpoints we have on writers and different, if you look at it, it's just a collection of, I think, some of the best talent in the hobby. And, that I think gives you some credit too, Danny, because like you said, you were able to get everybody together here. And, I think, we are, in my opinion, we're creating the history of the hobby right now. And we have such a diverse group of writers who all have different opinions on stuff. There might be people that disagree. There might be people that agree with a lot of stuff, but at the same time, what's going on now in the hobby is what some people talk about. What's the history of the hobby is what some people talk about. And that's what's going to, in 30, 40, 50 years from now, when I don't know, maybe the world will explode or something like that. But the Hobby News Daily, I hope maybe the servers will stay up. I don't know, but we'll always have the writers that wrote all of the history, I think, which is really great.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody doesn't know how to find an article, there's a search, but you can also just click on the writers page and go to whichever writer you want to see all their articles. And we've also added a feature recently where we, at the bottom of the article, we're connecting past articles better to try to make that a little bit easier to navigate. So once again, we're just continuing to work to try to make it better. I do need to give the vision of Hobby News Daily when it got started, because I need to thank and blame a good friend of mine. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go forward with this endeavor because it was going to be pretty much a full-time job. And I don't know if he did it because he likes me or doesn't like me, but John Newman told me to go for it. And so as we sit here today, over a year into it, I don't sleep. I got bags under my eyes. But I want to thank John for kicking me in the you-know-what and getting me to do this, because this is some of the best stuff I've ever done in my life, and putting out, the work that everybody on the team's doing. And I couldn't be prouder. So thank you to everybody. But thank you to John for the kick in the ass.
I thought you were going to cry there. I'm a little disappointed you did it, Danny. You were going there. I actually just stole that from Nike when I told you to just do it. So I think we should give Nike and Phil Knight a little plug. No, all joking aside, right? We all, somewhere down the line, we're going to have regrets of things we did or didn't do. We all will. Hopefully they're on the shorter side than the longer side. I think there was a place for this when you were thinking of doing it. And so it really was a no-brainer. And like you said, I wanted to kick in the ball, so I got to do that as well. So it was a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple things on the site, and I'd be curious from your guys' perspective. And I know that I go to the site far more often than everybody else, so I take this with a grain of salt. But is there a part of the site or another article you've read that you've liked or shared, something that has opened your eyes?
I've been really into your guys's the card shop spotlight that you've been doing. That has been a huge. I watched all of them. as somebody who grew up in card shops and going to card shows, I think it's so nice to see a focus on the actual card shops, because I think in the modern age and a lot of these younger collectors, they are only online and they're like, what is it, the chronically online, which is fine. We're online right now, but like, it's nice to see like the card shop owners, they're out there and like killing it every day. And I really have been enjoying that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, we have that on YouTube. We've done a series, everything from small shops to big shops, and all over the country. And we're going to continue to do that. And thank you, Rich, for your help getting some people, and Courtney and everybody who's put me in touch with people. And in fact, to the chat room as well. Danny's saving all. Danny has every postseason to cry. I'm getting killed here, guys. I love you, but I'm getting killed in the chat.
You obviously have never met Mr. Keating. This is a calm day for him.
This is par for Keating. I'm getting it from Ruben too.
They must know you really well.
They do. That's part of the problem. And if we would have run the ball, we would have beaten Kansas City. I just want to get that out on the table. Okay, it was just bad play calling.
You can't beat Mahomes, boy.
Yeah. John Keating just said, kudos to the pre-pandemic card shops that are still grinding it out, the lifeblood of the hobby. That's a great thanks for the score update. That's a great point that he made, because in this series of interviews, I've interviewed card shops that opened after the pandemic and before the pandemic. And it's interesting how the hobby has affected all of those, from fanatics, the influence they're having, to not fanatics, to card shops that only have a retail store, to card shops that do mostly breaks and do a lot of card shows. And it's been fun. So thank you, Courtney. I've enjoyed it, and we've got some good ones coming up. If you haven't watched so far, I'm going to forget the name of some of the card shops, but we've done Marks, we've done Burbank, we've done Layton, we've done AA Mint. Who am I forgetting?
You did you do Rex's shop?
Rex and AAN. So we've hit a bunch, and we got a lot more to go. So if anybody's got an LCS that you want highlighted, definitely let me know or have them get in touch with me, and we want to highlight those people for sure, pre-pandemic or post-pandemic, either way. So taking a look at the hobby now, and Courtney, you made an interesting point that you've kind of been distracted a little bit. Does coming up to the national change everybody's interest in the hobby? I mean, are we in a lull that's going to build up even if you're not going to the national? I feel like people get more excited that time of year.
I think everybody gets excited for the national, but I think also we're talking from a place, I would imagine almost most of you guys are going, right?
I don't know.
Well, a lot of people I think a lot of people that are online and do podcasts and everything that, you guys do, is they tend to be the people that are all going and hyped about it. And then you have the people who are local, because, a lot of my friends around where I live are very involved in the local hobby, but they don't have the means, energy, time, whatever, to travel to the national. So I think part of it is you get excited about it if you're in it and you go to the national every year, and that's something, and the people you surround yourself with. But there's a lot of people who, the national is cool and they consume the national online. They consume the content from the national. So I think the hype around the national over the last 5 years, when hobby content has really exploded, I think more people now are hyped about the national than they ever were when I was a kid. Nobody, it was just another big show. But now, because everybody sees it and it's all over your, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you're at, YouTube, it's there. And I think that the general hype over the national has grown so significantly since I was a kid.
Oh, absolutely. Simon and Bobby, I'm curious from your perspectives, how do you take in the national? Simon, I'll start with you.
I'll be there this year, so
you are going.
Yeah, I was there last year. I'll be there this year, so I will take it in live and in person. I'll be there Thursday to Saturday or Sunday. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Bobby, how about you?
Well, I've never been to a national, and I haven't. I'm probably looking forward to coming back in Chicago. It would be a social visit for me, and with the Canadian dollar, it'd be a $3,000 social. Hey, how you doing? But I would like to meet a lot of people in person. We have our sort of Canadian National, which is the Toronto Sports Card Expo, twice a year. It's pale in comparison, obviously, to the national, but I've been going for 30 something years straight, twice a year. And it seems like people really appreciate that they're part of the community too, because of the online presence. So they go, oh, I know this guy. It wasn't like, if we rewind it like 10 years, people were just kind of going about their own business. They didn't know as many people. You only knew who you knew. Now it's like everybody can come in and join in and go, hey, I watch your show. I had a question or something like that. And it's really opened up people to being more. Something happened.
Yeah, we lost him.
Anyways, it's always me.
We just wanted the mustache on full screen. I think
that's it.
I know.
Right?
I should have got real close to the camera.
So the national and the expo is really about the camaraderie, getting together with friends, sharing like-minded pursuit of collectibles, and that I think I truly look more forward to than finding anything anymore, because now we have the whole internet and all these different websites that we can find our stuff. It's really just going there, and the person-to-person transactional is much more beneficial, I think, to me than finding anything. Although I am a historian, I do like to find that rare piece I haven't found before. So
I was almost late for a panel that I was speaking on because I was negotiating for a Patrick Williams 1/1 last year at the Nationals. So you can find stuff you're looking for, and I almost totally blew an appointment that I had because of negotiating for a card at the National. I love card shows, man.
I rarely find anything that I haven't seen before because I've been documenting for so long, and when I do, that is a joy. So.
It's the case.
Yeah, I was just going to go back to Bobby's point. I agree with everything he said. I actually have a video coming out in a couple of weeks that's titled "The Hobby's About Cards," but it's also about the friendships, right? So it's.
I wrecked it. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
That's not your normal provocateur.
It is. I can be positive once in a while.
Simon, that sounds like somebody else's motto on this board.
The hobby is the people. I wonder who.
Yeah, I wonder who that is.
Well, people don't need to be friends, though. I'm talking about the friendships.
Absolutely. So somebody asked in the chat room, what else we collect other than sports cards or baseball cards. And I know for a fact that people in this room have very strong non-baseball card collections and other collectibles. So why don't we start with Bobby, because I think he can name another sport that he collects more than baseball.
How many things can I show you right now would be incredible. Pencil cases from the 70s. There's so many things. And that's what one part that I did document along the way is like cards for most part, we know what they all are. There's very rarely that we find something new that in the card market. So I've satisfied the card. So I went beyond and got into the food issue and the merchandise, and that's where I really delved in deep. The merchandise is very difficult to document because with food issue you have a cereal box you can relay it to or whatever, but other things you don't know where they came from. So I buy old catalogs and I look through there. So I have documented the hobby since 1910. Well, there's not a lot of merchandise back then, but mostly it came around the 50s and more so the 60s and 70s is when most of the merchandise came. And that's what I try to focus on. A lot of new information I have for that. However, I don't write much about it because it's very hockey oriented, and I want to be more multi-sport oriented. So I will be writing more of those coming forward. And you'll get more of a hockey, baseball, football, those kind of things, basketball in there. Sugar daddies, sugar mamas, all those different things from the 70s that really, surprisingly, very few people know about the history of it. So I plan on doing that in the future. So
that's cool. Courtney, I know you also have non-baseball collections.
Oh, sir. What I don't collect would be a shorter. No. So I grew up when I was little, I collected clowns, and my family thought that was so creepy. That was like the first thing I collected. And then I switched over to Garbage Pail Kids cards. And then it was sports cards. And I also collect Funko Pops, but like for specific things. Like I'm not like chasing like the most expensive ones. I want specific like Stranger Things, for instance. And then probably my biggest collection includes baseball cards, which I have two cards right here that were just sitting there. I displayed them on my desk because they're
casually laying around.
But I collect cards of people who committed crimes, or cards of people who are the victims of crimes. And I have a podcast about it. For instance, this guy, he actually didn't commit a crime. His brother was an axe murderer, and they both played baseball, but his brother, killed a bunch of people, so he doesn't have a sports card.
Oh,
but
he
does. He's actually infamous for being the worst catcher ever with the best arm. And then I have this one, and he robbed a jewelry store in the 30s, so that's pretty cool. I have a ton. Oh, you know what? I also have my Bison Daily. He used to play for the Bulls, and his brother murdered him and tried to assume his identity. So
oh my gosh,
that's what I collect. It's very weird. It's incredibly morbid, and I understand that, but it's fun. It's interesting, and I got started at a card shop when somebody showed me the Mark Jackson card with the Menendez brothers in the background, and I was like, this is a thing. And then as soon as I realized it was a thing, I was like, oh, I need to have more things that are weird like this. And that has really stemmed a very long and weird collection.
Courtney, out of curiosity, do you only do baseball, or do you do all sports in that?
I do all sports. Like someone says OJ, I have OJ, Aaron Hernandez, you name it. I have the baseball ones were just the ones up here because they're cool and I like them, but I have a ton.
Theo in the comments.
I have Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was
come on.
Tanya Harding. I actually, when we were at the National last year, myself and Sarah, Mrs. Squirt's Cards, we were in the VIP lounge, and we did an episode from the National about Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. So,
and the reason I asked that is I see Darren Lewis just passed, and I was reading his bio on Wikipedia, and he was serving a 27-year jail sentence, I believe, when he died. So, I mean, that's a junk axe wearer, overproduced error card of a football player, minor, but he's got cards I guarantee you can add to your collection and just go from there and add another one.
I love suggestions too. People love Ray Caruth is another one. Actually, we recorded the whole Ray Caruth thing. We've been on everyone around us has they're like, hey, where have you been? And I swear after this summer, because I opened a construction company, so this is our busiest time of year. We'll be back, and it'll be like we weren't gone, but it's just been kind of hectic. So,
well, the last comment, Ruben, he won a Super Bowl, and he was elite,
and a comeback player of the year. So yeah,
right. This is the comment that made me laugh. After this podcast, eBay searches for murderers will go up 9,000%.
Unfortunately, it's crazy too. Like cards of people, I have. You can get Bison Daily's Bulls card, and it's worth more than a lot of the guys that actually played on the team just because of his story. Even though he only played for 7 games with the 97 Bulls.
So I'm gonna show a card. I pull some cards of interesting people for my friend Raymond, who helps me prep stuff for the bulk that we do. Instead of the bags we used to do at the Adat Havarim show, we now just bulk out the donation cards. And this is a card of Maya Moore. And if you know Maya Moore, her story is she retired from basketball, and I believe she married somebody who got released from jail. Would that be something you would do as a side project, adding people like that to your collection?
I did an episode for a guy who was a football coach for a high school, and he killed his wife. So I'm not averse to that, but like like it's not necessarily just the cards that I collect would usually be of the actual criminal. But like I said, I have a Bill Bergen card.
You got a Bill Bergen card.
Hey,
I think Marty played baseball too, and I think there are.
He did. They played on the same team, but he never got there's no card for him because he like.
Rich is on the case.
No, yeah. If you find one, I know he's got a pin, but I've never seen one in real life. So,
Courtney, does this extend to autographs?
Yeah, I would collect anything. I did Sam Shepard.
She's got a glove.
He was a professional wrestler, but the whole his whole thing was that somebody came into his house and killed his wife while he was sleeping on the couch, and it was like it wasn't me, it was the bushy-haired man. Well, that spawned like the Fugitive with Harrison Ford, and actually the TV show before that. So he technically, and then he got out. He was released from prison. He wasn't exonerated, but they're like, oh, maybe he didn't actually do this. And he became a professional wrestler called Killer Sam, which was a terrible name. But they auctioned off the mantle in his house, and he has posters from when he was a wrestler with like, I've been hunting one down, but I haven't been able to purchase one yet. But those are things that I definitely would collect. Yeah, I have magazine articles or like magazines with like that feature people, because not everybody has a card, but now it's sort of like a murder collection more than a card collection, I guess. And I know I saw someone about the serial killer cards. I don't collect serial killers. I'm not like, it's not like the fact that they're killers. Although, Randall, what's his name? I always forget his name. Randall Woodfield, the I-5 killer. He got drafted to the Packers, so I don't think a lot of people know that. He went to Wisconsin and they kicked him off the team because he kept exposing himself. So he didn't actually get to play professionally. But the I-5 killer was drafted to the Green Bay Packers in the 70s.
Okay, Courtney, I looked it up. You are correct. Marty Bergen has 2 items actually in the Beckett database. One is, as you mentioned, the 1898 Cameo Pepsin pin. There are a few of those in the hobby. They're not that easy, and neither of these are that cheap. We're talking hundreds of dollars. And the other thing listed is an 1899 Boston Braves, or whatever nickname they were using, Chickering cabinet. The only problem with this cabinet, there's exactly one of them known. So if you see it, you see it, and it's a couple $1,000s, you can say, I want it, because that is, as of today, that is a fairly unique item.
Yes.
So good luck with your Marty Bergen search, but they do exist.
Thank you.
Well, so it's definitely a diverse collecting. And I want to touch on Rich. How long have you been in the hobby?
Oh, since 1977.
What have you collected over the years? What have your PCs been, and how has it changed?
Well, right now I don't really collect anything, so to speak. I play with cards. But I mean, I transitioned from stamps and then coins to cards. Once I realized cards were the right thing for me, I never went back to any of those other hobbies. But even when I was a full-time dealer in the mid and late 80s, I collected books, and then I transitioned to autograph books, because I always wanted, no matter what I was doing, to be collecting something so I could remember what collecting was like. I also collected a whole bunch of music, I'll call it top 40, 55 to 91 music related books, just because I like them. I'm fascinated by the Billboard, the Record World, and the Cashbox charts of those days. And so I just, I collect what I like, and I still play with I like. And Orlando, just remember, according to John Newman, nobody's as old as me. So you guys have catching up to do, but you definitely look better than I do.
Yeah, Orlando, good for you. That Florida living is doing you well. John Keating rarely makes a comment, but he has snuck one in or two today. And the one I liked is Rich's hobby is the hobby, which is great. So that's a true card collector. John Newman.
All right, I'll be quick. The last 4 or 5 years, I've kind of delved off cards, ticket Graded tickets is a thing I've gotten into. That's a World Series 53.
You got the whole
Index card autos. There you see Jack Dempsey. He's not a murderer, but he did come close to killing people inside the square circle. And then lastly, or not lastly, but graded wax packs that are sort of nostalgic for me. And then the other last thing is non-sports rookie cards, if you will, the first appearances of like my favorite celebrities: Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Beastie Boys, Rich, first cards, and that sort of thing. So, non-sports rookies, graded tickets, index card autos, and graded packs.
Awesome.
Who knows? Probably something else I forgot. But
Andrew says, this is in regard to my question. I am moving up this live stream in my power rank. Appreciate that. Before we run out of time, I do want to one more time remind everybody we're doing this today to raise money for Signatures for Soldiers. This is a charity 25-hour marathon on YouTube. And this year, 4 collectors really picked up the ball and ran with this. So this didn't disappear. And I really want to give a shout out to all of them. And at the bottom of the screen here, you can see where to donate. It goes straight to John from 4 Collectors, and he is covering the goods and services fee. So last year, evidently, PayPal froze Mike Moynihan's account for too many friends and family payments. So this year they had to go goods and services. But John is taking care of that fee, so nothing's lost in the donation. I believe we're close to breaking the record, and I'd love to do it in the next couple minutes. I don't know how close we are, but if not this stream, then definitely, hopefully next hour. I just can't emphasize enough that this is why we're all on the screen today, and really want to help raise money for this charity. Just to wrap it up, and looking forward, Adam, what are you looking forward to for the hobby for the rest of the year? You cover it daily. What are you seeing? What do you think?
From my perspective, I think I've always just created content, I did graphic design, sports graphic design stuff before I got into sports cards. And then immediately when I got into sports cards, I was like, I got to start writing or doing podcasts or making videos. So for me, the stuff that I'm most excited for is stuff that everybody can kind of talk about online. Because, I think like I said earlier, what's going on now in sports cards is we're documenting that stuff that's going on now, that in 20 or 30 years that people are going to be able to look back at the stuff that people on our website are writing about, and they're going to be able to look back and say what was the hobby like back in 2023, 2024. Even, a lot of people talk about 2020, 2021, all that. I think there's so much iconic stuff that has happened over the past couple years that as long as there's stuff to talk about on the podcast, I'll keep making them. I'll be, maybe my tweets aren't always about sports cards, but most of them are. So there's stuff that I'll always be talking about on there that's exciting. And I mean, it's kind of a Fanatics world right now, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do basically over this next year. I mean, I think there's been some ups and there's been definitely some downs for them. I think that they've maneuvered as well as they can in a hobby that they were sort of in for a little bit, but they, are getting back into it for sure. So, that's kind of the stuff that I look forward to in terms of what's exciting to me, is just anything that can get more cards into people's hands and, bring different types of collectors. Everybody collects differently. Everybody's interested in different things. And I think it will be fun to see what Fanatics decides to do over the next few years and kind of see the ups and downs of whatever they're trying to do, and just overall that kind of stuff in general.
My last article gave them all the suggestions, so
right, you just laid it out for them. All they have is like a white paper for them.
Yeah,
everything is true though in that sense.
It is, and as we just read in the chat, you're the man, Bobby. So. We just saw that. We are down to a couple seconds here. I just want to thank up everybody. Yeah, sorry about the chat room, guys. Yes, Fanatics is a whole nother topic that we don't have another hour for. But I want to thank the what is it, the 6 of you guys for jumping on today and helping fill out the crew and representing Hobby News Daily. For those of you that don't know, hobbynewsdaily.com is our website. 20 plus writers, 5 to 10 content creators. You can find links to everybody, articles every day, podcast every morning. Make sure you donate to Signatures for Soldiers. And thanks for having us.
Thanks all.
See you.